What's up, everybody, and welcome to today's Kind of Funny Gamescast for Monday, March 31st, 2025. I'm one of your show hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I'm joined by two incredible dudes. Let's go down the desk. Mr. Blessing out of Yo-Ye Jr. How are you, Bless?
Good day, Mike. How's it going?
Good, big week.
Yeah. Switch 2.
Switch 2.
Come on,
Can't
man.
wait.
It's
Big
gonna happen.
deal. 11 out of 10 hype on this one. I got some things to talk about with you, but I'll circle back to you in just a moment. Let me introduce, of course, Andy Cortez, the Nitro Rifle, on the panel. Hi, Andy. How are you?
What's up, Mikey? I'm doing great, big dog.
Your weekend was good?
Had a good weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of rest,
Good. I like
relaxation.
that. A lot of unaccounted for hours.
How so?
I'm going to find out what those hours are.
so?
I'm going to find those hours.
So?
I'm going to
Are you talking about when he's at home resting?
I'm going to
What are you
circle
talking
back
about?
to you in a minute, okay? I'm going to start. You put
I'm
a
not
pin
done
in-
with you
I'm
yet.
going to circle back to you.
Jesus.
Blessing, I want to start with you.
What's up?
Of course, before we get into today's Gamescast, I want to circle around and talk about both of you. Of course, you, Blessing, have been on the search for a game.
Yes.
You know, this weekend, you attacked your top 100 list. You've been asking people, I need a new game, because you're coming off the high of Outer Wilds, which I appreciate, but you didn't take any of my recommendations.
Because what did you recommend to me?
I recommended you all of the biggest games that dropped this year.
Which
Sniper
are?
Elite Resistance. I recommended
That's one I needed to
Inzio.
try.
I recommended
Enzoy.
Enjoy.
Inzoi. I recommended Warriors Abyss. I recommended Dynasty Warriors. I pretty much went down every single game that I had bought in this
After
year.
Blessed requested to you, what Bless?
I want a game that's going to change my life.
Yes.
And Mike looked at me and was like, play Enzoy.
I gave Blessing games that you can make out of content.
You can
for
make
a
another
night or
life.
two of streaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he wants a game that could change his life. So Blessing, I turn to you. It's 4 days later. Where are we on that search?
So this is the deal. I was looking for games that I should play for my top 100, but also games that aren't going to take a lot of time out of me,
Okay.
right? Like
Okay.
I am still reviewing games. I do have games I am currently playing, but I want games that I can play that are kind of in my free time,
Yeah.
that are going to blow my mind, or games that I know are me-ass games that could maybe make it into my top
Yes.
100. So I do have a backlog list, a very
Okay.
short backlog list of games that I do want to try.
Okay. What do you got?
The Half-Life franchise is one that I've been putting off for years and years and years, and I
Okay.
know I'll be into Half-Life. And so at some point, maybe some point soon, I want to start playing Black Mesa, the remake of Half-Life that came out quite a few years ago.
Great call.
So that's my list. And then also I want to play Half-Life 2 and all the other ones, right? And Half-Life Alyx also.
Love that.
Because
Love that.
man, people think I hate VR, but I do love VR. And Half-Life Alyx is one that I know
People
is like,
think you hate VR.
well, PSVR 2 specifically.
Okay.
Which,
Okay. Well, they
fair.
shouldn't have put the cord on it.
That one, it might be fair. But like, I had such a strong VR era with PSVR 1 when I was playing Beat Saber and I was playing Trover Saves the Universe and I was playing Astrobot Rescue Mission and all these things, right? Like,
Yeah.
Damn, you got to 3 games.
Like,
I was like 3 whole games.
So deep.
I was like, is this going to be, I was playing this and so many other games.
no, like legitimately, I fucked with VR heavy. It's just PSVR 2, that catalog just wasn't hitting for me.
Right.
Because guess what? Horizon Called Mountain wasn't a fun time. I didn't like that game as much,
You like
right?
the bow and arrow simulator.
The climbing simulator, if anything. In the fucking kayak VR game that made me sick.
Oh,
but
man.
I do want to play Half-Life Alyx so
Okay.
bad, but I gotta play the
Half-Life's
other
a great
Half-Lives.
pulse.
Yeah. So
Okay.
those, Return of the Obra Dinn. I'm big into detective mystery type shit.
Okay.
And the streets are saying that Return of the Obra Dinn would be my kind of
Could
game.
be your thing.
If,
Yeah.
if you fucked with what was the games that we got really into last year, Bless? The,
Case of the Golden Idol.
yes,
Rise.
that's what I've heard. Is like if we fuck with those games, we're really gonna dig over
I
them.
love this.
So
I'm
that's
just
on
having
the
a
list.
flashback to like Polygon Game of the Year list in 2018 and shit.
Yes, exactly.
Like, Obra Dinn is like massive. Yeah.
Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
oh, shit.
I've been putting it off. I never had a Wii U, so I never got. And then it came out on Switch, and I was
Came out
like,
on the Switch?
$60? No, I'm good.
Okay.
And so that's on the list. And then Silent Hill 2, the new one that just came out. Themes of Dead Wife.
It's deep, bro. It's
Themes
deep.
of Dead Wife.
It's deep.
That's one that like
Themes, the fog.
When you're ready to go deep on that, you let me know, Bless. I'll talk your ear off about it.
hell yeah. So those are the 4 games I have in my list
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, those are some solid 4.
Yeah.
No
I
Adam
like that.
Fall.
How long is Adam Fall?
I don't know. I just know that people who are into games like of that genre
Oh,
are fucking with Adam
Yeah.
Fall, and I feel like Bless fucks with that
fucking
genre.
with that. He's fucking with that. He likes
Yeah.
being a detective. He likes solving puzzles.
Yeah, it's like a first
he
person
likes
kind
getting
of.
put onto things.
It's not just like, from what I keep on hearing, it's not just
I
first
hear it's
person
like-
exploration.
I hear it's like 15 hours, 12 to 15.
12 to 15.
Yeah, I think on one of the reviews I watched, it wasn't that long.
Because I'm
You
also
could knock it out.
is the thing where I'm also looking for games that are gonna like
Changed my life.
change my
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
that's- he
So I'm
wants
like,
something that will
is
change
Adam
his
Fall
life.
like, is it gonna change my life, or is it like an 8 out of 10 game from this year? You know what I mean?
I guess I'm going back to games that are out from this year. But we have the Discord that we frequently hang out in, Mike. But man, I always have something to be playing this year, more than any other year. I feel this year more than anything. There's always something to be reviewing, or else I feel like I'm kind of wasting my time if I'm not doing that. If I'm not getting to other games that came out in the year of our Lord 2025, and there's just I saw the subreddit question of like, why aren't the guys playing Titanfall? I'm like, because fucking First Berserker Kazan's massive, and
it's like we're playing Kazan. I got 2 games I'm double fisting reviewing right now.
There's always been something to play this year. Yeah, and
that.
I've been enjoying my little time with Assassin's Creed Shadows, but I just don't have time for that because First Berserker Kazan's so hard.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's messed up because I think on the last game, whenever we did our first Berserker Kazan review, I said, oh yeah, I'm going to see this game through because I'm enjoying it. But I hit a point this last week where I looked at the icon on my PS5 and I was like, what if I didn't? Like, what if I didn't continue this game? Because I like it. But again, I'm like, if I play the rest of the 10 hours or 15 hours it's going to take me to beat this game, will that move me?
Dude,
right?
I'm at a boss fight right now, though, that's like, so fucking sick.
Yeah? Okay.
But I've also had like 4 or 5 boss fights in the past, I don't know how many hours, that have been so awesome as well.
Yeah.
But I just hate the damn. Here's what an experiment I did over the weekend. I decided to stream it after I was streaming Dark Souls 2, and I reset my skills to where I went back to 10 on everything, right? You're 10 10 health, 10 stamina, 10 across the board. You're just a little baby boy, a little baby Ben Star out there. And I reset my shit, and I put everything into strength, because I was the great sword build. 99 strength maxed out. Put the rest of it into whatever...
Vitality?
Whatever the fuck. Dexterity, I don't know, motivity. That's Liza B. But it was like 30-something, right? So I'm 99... I'm glass cannon type shit. Normal dudes, backstab them, takes about like 40% of their health away. It's like, how are you not dying immediately? Why is the damage scaling in this game so fucking wrong, man? I don't get why it's made that way. Like, normal dudes are still taking me 3-4 swipes to kill. It sucks. It's really fucking annoying.
This is what I'll say about First Berserker Kazan, because there was a chat that was like, not every game is going to change your life. And I agree, right? And I don't always need a game that's going to change my life. We played Wolong Fallen Dynasty like a couple years ago, right? And I was happy playing through that game. We gave it like a 3 out of 5.
Outriders is one of my goats, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That is one of his goats.
I fucking love Outriders.
It's not the fact that like, First Berserker Kazan is out of 10 out of 10, so I won't finish it. It's more so, right now is the rare opportunity where we are putting together the lists for our top 100 games.
I got a lot of Maddens.
And I have the opportunity, the excuse right now to go back and play some of the GOATs. And I'm going to take that chance.
I love that.
So I'm going to play some Donkey Kong Tropical
Okay,
Freeze.
have you thought about playing the original Halo trilogy?
I started playing Halo 1.
Okay, put you onto that.
But I think I like Halo from the multiplayer more than I like the campaign.
The chat has also recommended maybe you play through all the way through Baldur's Gates. Have you done that?
Ooh, see, now that's fire. I like that.
Let's put a game in that could change your life. Let's go to Baldur's Gate.
See, that's what I'm looking for right there. Because that's a good point. I never did finish Baldur's Gate 3.
Now I got to get to you at the end of the desk, Andy.
Fuck.
Now
can I say one more thing?
Oh, yeah, one more thing for you.
I hit download on this game called Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. I've already played it. I played it back in 2015.
That game will change your life.
But I was listening, the song from from one of the trailers came up. I always forget the name of it. It's like, I think it's by Eliga. It's one of the songs from one of the trailers, like dun, 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 dun. No, it wasn't Woodkid. That song came on, and I was like, oh, this is the song from the Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer. Oh man, Phantom Pain was a really good game.
Yeah,
and then I hit download, and I'm like, fuck, I might replay Metal Gear Solid 5.
What if I told you about a video game that I believe you started and never got back to? Mass Effect 2.
Oh. I was talking a lot about Mass Effect 2 last night. I did get halfway through that game, and I never finished it. And I did really like Mass Effect 1.
That's a banger.
You played 2 and 3?
No, I only got halfway through 2.
Plus, you got so many games to tear through, bro. You got to get in, bro.
You only have so much time, too.
So much time.
So much time.
All right, let's get to you at the end of the table.
Jesus
Don't distract him, okay?
Don't
You and I got to talk
Let's talk about Doom, baby.
We got to talk about your unaccounted 4 hours.
Let's talk about Doom.
Andy, this weekend you've been playing Dark Souls 2. I want an update on it. Where are we at? How are we loving it? What was the last boss you fought? Take me on a journey through one of my favorite games.
Mike,
Put me on.
I gave you a lot of shit for saying this is your favorite Dark Souls game. And I totally see it now. I'm not saying it's my favorite Dark Souls game, but, I just heard too much shit talking from so many people saying that I was expecting Lords of the Fallen trash. Like I was expecting this game to be really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
This game kicks ass. I love this game so much. I think Dark Souls 3 boss fights fucking goated, right? Some of the best boss fights you'll ever experience. The getting from place to place in Dark Souls 3, not my favorite. I enjoy that in Dark Souls 2 way more. The spectacle boss fights in Dark Souls 3, way cooler. Dark Souls 2, it's known that Dark Souls 2 is all about, it's mainly big guy with a big sword, which is like, can get kind of samey. I don't feel that way. I think it's super sick, but that's like one of the common things. It's like, you're not often fighting gigantic beast with a, you know, the ratio, I guess the percentages of like big dude with a sword and gigantic creature are way more weighted towards big guy with a sword.
Agreed.
I still think it's sick as hell. I'm loving this video game, and shout out to From Software for all the beautiful visual mod help. Looks amazing. I love this game so far. About to start the DLC. I'm ready for DLC. I already kind of finished most of the core
DLC
shit.
1.
Yeah, I make King Vendrick Lamar.
Yes.
V. Dot.
Gosh darn it.
What a
I'm
cool
so
moment.
glad that you're coming around on it.
Game kicks ass.
You're having fun giving it a try.
It
Opening
rules.
your heart.
Yeah.
That game
That's
rocks.
beautiful.
Is right. Bless, you play that game yet?
No, Dark Souls 2?
Yeah.
No, I'm playing Dark Souls 1 right now. That's the whole thing.
We got to finish that. We got to get back to that
We
I'm
stream.
gotta get
telling you,
back to
these
that.
are games that'll change your life. Is right, Bless. We got games for you, Bless.
We gotta get back to
Andy,
that stream.
we'll get back to your unaccounted 4 hours,
it's
but I've
okay.
been told we got to get this show on the road.
Yeah.
Of course, don't forget, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in the video game world, live on YouTube and on Twitch, and of course on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, consider supporting us with the Kind of Funny membership, available on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get your daily exclusive show. For a chance to be part of the show, please submit your thoughts, opinions as YouTube super chats as we go. Today's topic of discussion, Andy, is what?
Doom the Dark Ages.
You played it.
Yeah.
We're talking about your hands-on preview. So if you have questions about Doom the Dark Ages, Andy has played it. He's gone over and talked with the team. He will answer it. Are you wearing a wrist strap?
Yeah, I think I inadvertently gave myself either carpal tunnel
Where did that come from?
or a. I've been wearing it the whole time.
I thought you just put it on.
I just noticed that. I just noticed
What the
it.
fuck? When did
I
that
think
get there?
I think I inadvertently gave myself carpal tunnel or I
Yeah.
pinched a nerve.
We have a big problem with Andy's hands.
Yeah.
We have to address this because those are your moneymakers.
These are my moneymakers.
Your
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
All right,
face
what were you
and
doing?
your
Okay,
hands.
now I understand where Mike's coming from. What were you doing in the unaccounted hours?
Exactly, bro. Unaccounted
You
for
broke
hours.
your
Chat was
hand in the
saying
unaccounted
whacking it
hours?
too much, so
Cranking it. I go lefty. Yeah, I'm trying to like
He's
go
going lefty,
ambidextrous.
Oppo.
Yeah,
That's why you
going,
can't be gooning.
going oppo. No, I mean, it's a long story. We got to get to Doom.
It's a
but
long story.
Here's the thing, Bless. Here's the thing,
All right,
Bless.
we get it. You're
I don't have carpal tunnel, but I was like, I want to prevent it in case something happened. And it got so in my head that I have to prevent what could happen to me in the future. Because I was listening to a Besties podcast, and Justin McElroy, one of the hosts of the Besties, was talking about how he sleeps with like a kind of a glove thing at night that keeps his fingers straight. So it's like, because you're playing games so much, your fingers are curled all night, right? So I was like, I want to prevent that in the future. So for some stupid fucking reason, I was like, what if I lay on my back and I put my hand underneath my
what I
ass
started doing.
so my fingers are straight? But what it did was just like twist my wrist
wrist?
was twisted for hours and hours and hours.
Jesus.
And then I started like feeling weird, kind of like tingly shit when I would stretch it a certain way. I was like, I think I got carpal tunnel. I think I gave myself
you
in order to
inadvertently-
prevent it.
You
I gave it to
fucked
myself.
up your hand. Jesus
We need to
Christ.
see a doc.
big tragedy in
yeah.
the making.
Who told you to fucking put your hands under
I'm
your...
stupid as hell. I was just like, this is the best way to keep my fingers straight.
Can I tell you, one of my biggest fears is that I get carpal tunnel. I do a thing that's gonna fuck up my gaming in the
Yeah.
future. Because like I love fighting games, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like obviously like we like action games and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
So like I want to be able to have twitch reflexes forever.
Yeah. Of
And like
course.
I get so scared that I'm gonna play so many fighting games, I'm gonna fuck up my fingers.
I don't feel anything when I'm gaming. I don't feel anything when I'm doing most of anything. But if I, with my left hand, if I were to like twist it this way, I feel like a kind of weird tingling, like I think like I fucked up a nerve. That's
Yeah.
what Kevin's saying.
He's stressed it out.
Sorry, yeah, unaccounted for hours.
That's some housekeeping for you. We will keep eyes on Andy's wrists and make sure he's doing all right. We got to protect those hands. Some housekeeping for you. Andy Cortez, it's been 1,200 days since we last dropped Howard Hospital. 1,200 days without Verdansk.
Oh my God.
This Friday, the map that started it all returns, and so do the Jabroni boys. That's right, even Andy is back to play Call of Duty Warzone one more time. This Friday at noon, Mike, Nick, Andy, and Chris Anka in studio will return to the game that brought them all together and also tore them apart for one megathon marathon stream of laughter, friendship, and frustration.
And hatred.
It's going to be so much fun. Make sure to tune in this Friday as the return of Verdansk goes down. We'll be jumping in together to have so much fun, and Chris Anka will be here to celebrate a hot drop with us. Don't forget, Kinda Funny is an 11-person small business all about live talk shows. Today on Kinda Funny Games Daily, you got
me and Greg talking about some news about GTA 6. Is it going to come out this year? Is it going to kick Ghost? Oh, I might have to change the headline. We talked about Ghost Yote also, but we didn't talk about it enough.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh man, I got to change the headline?
Might have to change that headline.
Man.
Of course, after this Gamescast, you will be getting Predators in review. Predators, you'll be reviewing The Predators. The Predator?
Predators.
Predators. Okay,
It's called
there you go.
Predators.
Predators, yep.
Yeah.
I watched that this weekend, had a good time. After that, the boys will be playing Schedule 1. If you are a Kinda Funny member, today's Greg Way is 10 minutes about our insider information ruining showcases. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. But today we are brought to you by Lost Guys, Monaco, and Rocket Money. We'll tell you all about that in just a little bit. Let's jump into the show. Let's get to topic of the show. We have played Doom the Dark Ages. Today is all about Andy's hands-on preview with the upcoming big Doom game. Of course, your developer id Software, published by Bethesda. Release date May 15th, 2025, so right around the corner. Of course, Doom 2016 launched on May 13th, 2016. IGN gave it a 7.1. PC Gamer gave it 88. Doom Eternal launched on March 20th, 2020, has a Metacritic of 88. Andy Cortez, you've played the next installment. You've seen it. We've all been hyped for it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it indeed, Mike. Because when the game starts off, it just gives you a quote with somebody saying, before he was the Slayer, he was the super weapon of gods and kings.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like, come the fuck on. This game is going to be a banger. This game was a lot of freaking fun. I am somebody who loves Doom Eternal as well. And I don't really... I think I'm in the minority when it comes to the opinions on Doom Eternal, how Doom Eternal was too jumpy and too air dashy.
Oh, I agree with that.
Like, I know that's like the majority of the opinion. To me, I'm like, I still love that. To me, it's a different, ingredient thrown into the Doom sauce, and there's going to be a lot of that here. I think it will be a bit divisive for more of the hardcore audience, but I still loved my experience with Doom the Dark Ages. We got to play it for about 3 hours in Los Angeles. It was going to be in Dallas, and then it got changed to Los Angeles. I was like, damn, I kind of wanted to see what's up with the Big D,
Big
The
D.
Big D, Dallas, the Metroplex.
DF-Dub.
Go talk to fucking Jerry Jones out there. It's running on id Tech 8, their newest version of the engine. There are characters in the games with their, no masks, and it's just, they got human beings in the game, obviously. But I will say the visuals on that didn't look like the most groundbreaking, but I think that's mostly because Doom has always looked awesome. Doom has always looked really pretty, and visually it's always been an amazing looking video game. So I think I got to just play it on my monitor and kind of be like, oh yeah, this is where the upgrades I'm seeing. Because, you go to these events, you don't always have the best of tech, but the game still rocks and looks amazing and feels great to play. But again, the sort of mentality with Doom the Dark Ages is it's no longer run and gun, which is Doom 2016. It's no longer jump and shoot, I think is what their mentality for Doom Eternal was. For Doom the Dark Ages, it's stand your ground. And there's a lot of side dashing, obviously, when you're in crazy amounts of battling against these gigantic enemies, or just smaller, you have your cannon fodder out there that's just kind of just there for your ammo replenishment. But stand your ground, because this game is very heavy on wanting you to parry things at the correct timing, to throw your shield at enemies, to then kind of get them stunned, or to break the armor that you've slowly weakened. And once you break that armor, they'll kind of go into a bit of a stun state, go in for the kill. You're still gunning, you're still using your weapons, obviously, but this game has a lot of melee-focused type things that it wants you to add to your arsenal.
Yeah.
It's not trying to replace it necessarily. It's just, here's an extra way to be sick as hell and to feel like just an ultimate badass Doomslayer.
I was watching some other previews this morning to get ready to ask you some questions, and I heard someone say, they said it's back before you were a jet fighter, now you're more of a steel tank.
Yeah.
And so,
that's a great analogy.
The stand and fight is going to be exciting, right? And so how did that feel, Andy, going from more of the high flying, a lot of dodging, dashing up in the air, to now being on the ground and really standing your ground here?
It was tough because I think the standard difficulty, which is Ultra Nightmare, I think there's like 7 levels of difficulties, and the fourth one I guess like the fifth from the hard, second from the hardest, I believe. Trying to like visualize it. If stick with me here, Mike. If 1 is the easiest,
okay,
7 is the hardest, 4 is where we were.
Okay,
That's
okay.
And they said we could lower it if we want. I was like, no, I'll go with the standard thing. I was pretty challenged to the point where I'm fighting these gigantic beasts and I'm trying to parry at the right time, and I die, and it's the meme of the dude leaning forward in the chair. It's the gamer lean, and I get a smile on my face. I'm like, all right, that was sick as fuck. Yeah. You beat me, but I'm so excited for this challenge. The game was a lot of freaking fun, and I think that, again, I think this will be a bit divisive towards people who maybe just want to go back to 2016 Doom.
Okay.
I think their tweet from back in the day still kind of works perfectly now, which is you control the buttons you press. You could still kind of play it in an old school fashioned way, but the game's just kind of asking you to maybe add other things to your arsenal. I had a blast with it. I am so excited for it, and I think it will still maybe, I think more of the hardcore audience that wants to just go back to 2016 will go, maybe these mechanics aren't exactly what I want. But for me, it's kind of the perfect addition as somebody who loves parrying, who loves melee combat, who loves getting the timing down of certain patterns from bosses. It's a fucking blast. So many cool abilities I can't wait to talk about. So many awesome weapons I can't wait to talk about.
Well, good. Why don't you hold on to that? Because when we come back after a word from our sponsors, we're going to get into what's new with the combat, the shield, and all that and more right after a word from our sponsors.
This episode's brought to you by Lost Skies. What would you do if you woke up and the world around you was now floating high in the clouds? Lost Skies is the new open-world survival-like that puts the power of exploration and choice in your hands. Use the physics-based grappling hook, glider, and your own custom airship to traverse the remains of this fractured world and uncover its mysteries. You and up to 5 friends will harness the power of ancient technology to survive the hostile islands that scatter the horizon and the threats that lurk in the sky itself. The battles are intense, so it's up to you to build a skyship to shelter you in fierce storms and take the battle to gigantic monsters. Want to take a break from fighting in the skies? Use the intuitive island creator and share your builds with the community. Head over to Steam and wishlist Lost Skies today and discover what's lurking beyond the horizon. This episode's brought to you by Monaco 2. Gather your crew, plan your heist, and let the chaos unfold in Monaco 2. Return to Monaco, a city teeming with excellent scores and gullible marks ripe for getting parted from their prized possessions. Go it alone or tackle heists as a team of 4 with online and local co-op. Just remember, even the best laid plans can blow up in your face, so you'll have to stay on your toes. Monaco 2 is the sequel to the cult classic Monaco. What's yours is mine that expands on every aspect of the game. New characters bring unique abilities and playstyles to help you escape the heat. And with new modes and procedurally generated levels, every run is full of surprises. The heist is on when Monaco 2 arrives on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation on April 10th. Y'all know how important it is to wishlist these games. It helps the developers so much, so please wishlist Lost Skies and Monaco 2. This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. You sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. In fact, 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, you can see all of your subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones you're not using anymore, and save more money. Rocket Money has helped multiple members of Kind of Funny learn that they're still paying for things they totally didn't even realize. You know who I'm talking about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/kindoffunny today. That's rocketmoney.com/kindoffunny.
Welcome back, everyone. Andy, you gave us your initial thoughts to start us off. I know that you're enjoying Doom the Dark Ages with your preview. Let's talk about the combat. What's new? Of course, the shield is a big thing here. Let's start off with the shield. What's it all about?
So the shield is kind of your primary way to just kind of defend from enemies. You can hold it up for a decent amount of time. You will see a blue bar underneath it, and your shield will essentially break down for a little bit. And once it's broken, you can't bust it out for a while again. You kind of have to measure, do I want to be just blocking bullets at this time, or do I want to just kind of keep dodging away from enemy projectiles? So the shield is kind of your primary method to quote unquote stand your ground, but it's also a neat way to, add to your combat arsenal, right? You can throw it at enemies. You can shield bash towards enemies, which is what's one of my favorite things to do in this preview. You will see about 7 to 8 just normal as zombies kind of huddle around, and if you shield bash towards one, you kind of just zip right towards them, similar to how the glory kills work, where as long as you see them blinking within the flash of an eye, you're right in front of them starting this animation. But the shield bash or the shield dash going towards them was so freaking fun, because you would just zip towards them and it creates kind of an AoE effect whenever you destroy one of them. So it ends up becoming like, this is going to destroy this whole blast of enemies. And it's so freaking satisfying to do. And of course, they'll drop the armor, the health, or ammo. But throwing it at enemies was also incredibly fun. So when large enemies were present, if you throw the shield at them, it will stick inside of their body and start spinning. It's got sort of these chainsaw spikes around it. And we throw it at a large enemy and it sticks in them and starts spinning. It's essentially kind of getting them into a stun state, and they're there just kind of absorbing all this damage, leaving you to go up to them and either melee them or just shoot them as much as possible, and not having to worry about the repercussions of them shooting you back. But you are able to shoot the hell out of them, and hopefully they'll get into their finisher state, and then you can go in for, whatever the glory kill may be. So there's not only that, but then there will be a lot of enemies with armor, and you'll see sort of metal plating on them. And when you start shooting the metal plating armor, you'll see it start to light up and get almost like it's getting hot, like the way metal can, if you think of Blades of Fire, our preview last week, if you start to heat up metal, you'll see the metal start to light up, and then oh, I can throw the shield at them now, and the armor breaks off of them, and they go into like a stun state, and then you can go in for the kill. So the shield has so many different ways to approach combat. The shield is kind of a multifaceted, pronged approach, and I freaking love it for that. It's so much fun to use. And adding it to this gigantic, you look at all the weapons you have, and you look at all of the moves that you're capable of doing, and adding that to it just makes it even that much more fun. So the shield's a freaking blast.
On the shield, really quick, can you dive a little bit deeper on like deflect/parry?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of deflect, right? We're looking at this bullet hell. There's a lot of orange and red bullets, but there will every now and then be a green one. And it looks like you're deflecting back the green, but what is this parry mechanic?
So you are, and that was one of my favorite things as well, because a lot of different enemies will have different ways of shooting, this sort of bullet hell wave of blast at you. Think Returnal, think, any sort of shmup you've seen, and you'll see, 7 orbs of energy coming at you, but one of them's green. And it might be on the far right, it might be in the middle, it might be anywhere amongst this sort of wave of things that are going to hurt you. But the green one you can parry. And it was so much fun seeing waves of enemies shooting all fucking sorts of projectiles at you, and you see the green one, you parry that, it gets sent back to the enemy, they go into a stun state, or it might break their armor, or it may get their armor into a breakable state, to which then you can follow up with the shield throw to break the armor off. But that shit was so fun to see, to notice, and immediately have the habitual thought to go, I want to go parry that green thing over there. There's a green thing that's not even that close to me, but I want to go parry it to get the enemy that shot at me into a stunnable state or into a finishable state, right? So that was a freaking blast. You can also, as you are fighting a lot of these larger enemies, you so it's not only the bullet hell type stuff, but what Barrett just showed off, there's a cannon that shoots blasts at you, right? And it might shoot 4 or 5 singular blasts of red, but then one might be green, and you have to kind of recognize when the green is coming, and then that's when you would go into that, you would parry that shot and then go right after that cannon. But then you will have gigantic enemies that want to get more into a melee scrap with you, and you could still be shooting them, you can be dodging them, you can do whatever you want, but they will wind up a bunch of different telegraphed attacks, but then you'll see one of them is going to be green, and as soon as that enemy hits you with a big green attack, you can go and it's the coolest metal sounding like deflection type thing. That was another great thing. The sound design is just so on point in this video game, weapons wise, and especially the parry. It's the first thing that I talked to everybody about at the event, was like, how good did that parry sound? Because kind of just sounds like. Did you play much Hades 2, Bless? Like, how far did you play? Did you?
I played like the first area, if that makes sense.
Did you ever get Hephaestus, the guy who does the metal ding 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 ding? Like, that it's kind of a darker or a deeper sounding tone to a metal kind of being clanked, but it's just like your metal shield is deflecting this thing, and there's a good crunch to it, but you hear that sort of deflecting thing, and it just sounds so great to then go in there for whatever the finisher may be. Yeah. And so the parries in this game felt amazing, because it really felt like if I didn't want to just be running and gunning and dashing away from enemy attacks, I could go in there and stand my ground like they want you to and parry these gigantic enemies that are hitting you with very, telegraphed patterns. And it was so much freaking fun. And it was really difficult, and I loved the challenge. I loved, like, oh, fuck, to the point where they were like, all right, we're going to start kind of wrapping up here. I was like, I got to beat this fucker. Like, I'm not leaving until I beat this guy.
Ryan in chat said, kind of like Cuphead. It sounds like with the parry of, like, having a specific kind of projectile coming at you that's a certain color.
Absolutely,
you parry it, you can hit it back at the enemy.
That's a great analogy right there, or a great comparison. Speaking
of sound design, music is something that I think is a big topic of conversation, right? I assume Mick Gordon is not back, because they had the weird thing with the last
don't know.
Yeah, I think Mick Gordon and id have
parted ways.
Just parted ways. Yeah.
So how's the music this time around? Can you tell that there's a difference? Is it hidden this time?
The headphones we were using, it still sounded awesome. Like, I could still visually see people around me getting into, after whatever the cutscene is, when you're introduced as before he was a Slayer, he was the super weapon of gods and kings, and it just metal starts hitting, boom, logo treatment, you're just like, this feels right still.
Yes. Okay.
I know it's not Mick Gordon. I know people will probably shit on my opinion for even saying that it still kicks ass. The music still kicks ass. I'm blanking on the artist who's doing a lot of the instrumentation, but it still rules. It feels right. There's also like the addition of some kind of orchestral stuff as well, because you are in the Dark Ages. This is a prequel game. This is before Doom 2016 takes place. So you are in this sort of medieval Dark Souls looking castles and shields, and even your Doomslayer has kind of an animal pelt around his neck, right? Like you look like if the Doomslayer was transported to a different time, which is kind of exactly what this is. And yeah, the music still kicks ass and it still rules. Totally love it.
Damn.
Weapons. I want to talk weapons.
I do want to shout out, there was a clip earlier, speaking of weapons, right? There was one weapon, that was the machine gun that you can see literally right here, where it's pushing skulls into the chamber to then be chopped up into bullets. That shit's fucking sick.
It's so sick. That weapon is a lot of fun. That weapon is really neat for just kind of hitting gigantic hordes of enemies because it has a gigantic spread on it. But it also wasn't just this weak kind of AR that has a huge spread of projectiles and isn't going to do much damage. It felt really good. So the weapons, obviously, you start off with the standard shotgun, and then later on in our preview, we ended up getting the whatever mega super ultra shotgun, the one that's like the double barrel one. A lot more. You shoot one shot, you got to reload immediately, but it feels deadly. You got a lot of damage behind it. The rail spike shredder was really sick. It launches a barrage of barbed spikes at enemies, and that was probably the one that I used the most. It was just a really neat feeling AR that I really enjoyed. A lot of great body degradation that Doom Eternal had as well, but in here it felt even like, because I haven't played Doom Eternal in so long, I kind of forgot how awesome that detail is when you are shooting enemies and you're seeing their legs being slowly chipped away, and it's just like gross meat and gore. Their bodies still break down in a really cool, advanced way that I feel is awesome technology-wise, but just really cool visually to see the effects of what you're doing to these, chunks of meat that you're shooting. Enemies' arms are now just a bone or whatever. It feels awesome, and it looks really, really gross as shit. The plasma twin barrel, plasma weapons are back, and plasma ones are kind of the alternative to using assault rifle weapons with bullets. These are just shooting sort of like orbs of blue energy at enemies, and those are great whenever you're trying to take down. But there are some enemies that are kind of immune to certain attacks, so I wonder. I'm not sure if some enemies will be weaker to bullets as opposed to the plasma energy shots. I'm not sure how much of that is implemented. Maybe more electrical enemies are, not great against the plasma weapons. But there are some enemies that are so armored that you can't just shield. You can't throw your shield at them. It'll bounce right off of them. So you have to weaken their armor first to see that light up. Then you throw the shield and break it, and then they're susceptible to more damage. But the skull gun shooter is the one that you mentioned, Bless. That's a really cool one, not only visually, but it also feels good, and it's a really nice way to take out a lot of enemies on the screen. The super shotgun is what I was talking about. The super shotty rules. There's also the Reaver chain shot that is a range weapon, kind of, not really. It shoots out a gigantic ball of metal, and it comes right back to you. So you can shoot it, and it's tied to a string, so it just like ding, and it hits enemies in it, and it comes back into the gun, and you can charge it for an even deadlier hit.
That's cool.
And it's a fascinating one because I believe it also hits enemies on the way back. But there are different ways to upgrade these weapons to every couple levels or so. You'll find these Sentinel shrines, and you can upgrade guns to then have extra perks where maybe it's doing like electrical damage or fire stuff. I wasn't really too sure of how the upgrade system worked because we weren't given a whole lot to upgrade with. You need to upgrade finding kind of coins on the ground, and you would find, if you go the secret passage, you might find a little toy doll that like you would back in the day, but also some coins that are kind of scattered around that you would use to buy upgrades. And those can be visited as often as you want. They're not just kind of a one-time use. You can kind of upgrade your shields, your gun, or your melee. And the melee is another big aspect of the game. Melee, you can't just be melee and all willy-nilly. You have 3 melees that recharge.
Oh.
In a similar fashion to back in the day where you kind of find that rhythm of, all right, I chainsaw to get ammo.
Yeah.
I do this to get armor. What recharges the melee is let me see real quick. Okay, so parries refill your melee.
Okay.
And you can melee with just your hands, but then later on you'll end up finding that mace that was in some of the footage that Barrett was showing, where it's a stick with a string and a kind of the Morning Star, where it's just like a sphere of metal with spikes on the end of it.
The flail.
Yeah, the flail. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you are just beating dudes down with this melee, and you can hit them with the 3 combo. It will slowly refill, but like that's sort of, I guess, not always in my repertoire of combat in Doom. I'm not always meleeing. I'm not. I guess when I go in for the glory kills, that's kind of as melee as I would get.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really utilizing that as much as I wanted to, mostly because I kind of forgot it was there. Because we unlocked it later on in the demo session, but you can unlock that flail. Feels great to use. You're swinging that sucker around, and you can kind of like 3-hit combo some of the smaller enemies to immediately get them into a stun
And that
state.
has like three slots that refills for the
Yeah,
flail.
if Barrett brings up some of the gameplay as well, you'll see the little icon right below you'll see the UI of the thing that's recharging, which is your shield health.
Yeah.
And you'll see 3 little icons that indicate those are your melee charges. So I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about how the melee should or should not function because I wasn't using it as much as I should have. I wish I would have like written down a note like get back to the melee because you're not using that enough, and I know people would want to
I feel like
ask questions
the
about it.
chainsaw for me was always like the get out of jail card of, oh man, I'm in the action and I've like exhausted everything, and now I'm like, oh fuck, what do? I just use the chainsaw as like get rid of this big enemy and they'll drop a bunch of bullets and then I'll pick up ammo. And then I
But
go
you
from
would
there.
still need the gas for that if you
Yes.
didn't have that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's kind of the direct comparison that I would see is the melee flail is kind of what you would use right there. So we see the 3 little
so it's the
icons
thing
right
in the
there
bottom or
as
below
Barrett brings up the
reticle.
Yeah, the
reticule.
gameplay right there. So yeah, I don't think that they recharge it. I think they only recharge with the parries because you're not seeing a slow recharge. The finisher didn't count as using the melee. You know, once the enemy turns purple and glows purple, you can kind of go in for that finisher to knock them out. I will say, I know you had a lot of issues with the glory kills in the preview that we saw.
Yeah.
That they didn't feel as
They didn't look
highlighted.
Yeah, they didn't look as like almost like as gory, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel like in Doom, unless I'm misremembering, right? I feel like in Doom 2016 in Eternal, I'll go for a glory kill and it's like fucking put your arm in their fucking throat and then rip them apart.
Yeah.
Type shit.
I don't think that they were as pronounced here because I don't know if it was maybe just the method of combat in this game and how quickly they want you to get back into the battle. There's plenty of violence. There's plenty of gore. There's plenty of fatality animations once they glow purple and you go up there and there's, you might see 3 or 4 different variations of how you're kind of taking these enemies down. But I would probably agree that they didn't feel as extreme as they did in the past. Maybe I just haven't seen enough of them. But to me, they felt more like just getting the final hit on an enemy, which is still very gory in the way that they were doing it and showing it. And it felt less of like a fatality in the Mortal Kombat sort of way. So I don't disagree with you there, but I think
As long
maybe,
as it's still fun, as long as it still feels fine, then I'm fine with that.
it
right?
felt great. I think maybe I just hadn't seen everything that it had to offer in that moment. Let's see, the dragon combat.
Oh yeah, can we get to it?
The dragon
I've
combat
been waiting.
is something I think it's going to be also pretty divisive.
Oh.
At first, for me, felt kind of odd.
Okay.
I ended up playing it both with controller and keyboard mouse just to see exactly what
Yeah.
it was and what it felt like. It's kind of weird because you will have missions where you are flying your dragon to get the Doomslayer into a certain area, right? So I think it's a neat way to kind of break up the combat and the movement and give you something else to do. I don't think it's bad by any means. It just feels less fun than just running around as the Doomslayer and killing things.
Okay.
But when you're flying around as the dragon, one of the missions is, I don't know, let's just hypothetically say there's 4 ships you need to get to. But the ships are being guarded by certain guns. They have gunners and turrets on them. So you're flying around, and as soon as you kind of either, I believe it was right click, when you right click, you just, whatever you're looking at, you go into this, we saw it right there for the smallest glimpse, but you kind of auto-target and auto-revolve around whatever it is that you are targeted on.
Like this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I like that.
So you
Okay.
kind of have like this 360-ish. If you're just targeted on, if I'm targeted on Blessed, then I'm just going to move around him, facing him the whole time, right? And the reason for that is because you will start to get blasts being shot at you that are the same kind of, not parryable, but dashable things, right?
okay.
And in this case, you're not parrying to knock a blast back, you are dashing at the right time to make that weapon weaker. Not really sure how that makes any logical sense, but it felt cool when you did it right, because the enemy would sometimes shoot a blast that were a bit hard to read, because it might be like imagine like a U that's all red up top, and then an upside down U that's all red at the bottom, but the outsides of it are not filled in. So that would tell you to dash left or right, because if you dash up to avoid it, you're going to get hit by the red. So there's like projectiles that have directional recommendations of how to dodge them, which I thought was kind of hard to read at first. I didn't really understand where they wanted me to go in those moments, but then they would hit you with a green one, and if you time the dash perfectly, then your gun gets like super powered and is able to break down. So you're kind of shooting the whole time as you're fighting these enemies, and you're dashing when appropriate. But dashing the green one at the right time would supercharge your cannon, and it makes it known that you are getting super powered, because it kind of does this big sound effect, does this big visual effect, and you start to gun down whatever turrets it is that you're aiming at. Once those things are down, then you can fly your dragon in, your dragon lands, and now you're the Doomslayer, and you're doing missions in there as a Doomslayer again. Once you clear out whatever it is you needed to do in there, get back on the dragon, then you fly off and you do the next one, right? So it's not it. I guess the nicest thing about it was that it didn't feel. It felt tuned right time wise. I don't think you're going to be doing dragon missions that are going to take 20 minutes. It really felt like just a way to kind of let's get you to the next opportunity to be the Doomslayer again, while kind of intermingling these dragon sections. And they weren't annoying. I still had fun with them once I kind of got the idea of what they wanted from me, but I don't think people need to worry about the dragon sections feeling like they're kind of being shoved down your throats. It doesn't feel like something that you're going to be doing a whole lot for a long time,
Okay. Well, we have dragons. We also have giant mechs. They showed off giant mechs in the trailer that everybody wants to know. Did you get to jump into one of those?
The opportunity was there. I fucked up and I accidentally skipped it.
Wow.
So they were like,
crazy.
all right, you're up to the next section, which will be the open world sort of section where you're kind of open world roaming. And I was like, I didn't do the giant mech thing. And they're like, oh, really? They're like, we're kind of like running low on time.
Damn.
And I was like, shit, I messed up. But the guy I recommend you go into the open world section, because the mech section might take a bit longer, and then you'll have less time in the open world roaming, which is their idea of, finding treasures and just kind of fighting hordes of enemies out in more open-ish areas. Not saying that it's an open world, but it's like a larger open zone. How big is this
open zone? Yeah, how big did it really feel like?
The open zone areas felt, they still felt Doom, right? They just felt less hallways, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of more in open fields, and you might try to solve a puzzle that has you have your grappling hook, right? And you always want to kind of be looking around your surroundings, because there might be something you need to shoot with your grappling hook to either pull down or to weaken or to launch towards. So your grappling hook was something that you kind of used often for traversal to look for secret spots. And then you'll find a little jump booster that might send you to another island, not an island, but another landmass that you weren't sure how to get to begin with. And now you're fighting that to then kill that thing to unlock the 3 gates or whatever the hell. Like it still feels very Doom in that way. It's just, you're not necessarily just in hallways now. You are kind of more, I think Doom Eternal had a lot of open looking areas. And I would say that if you're expecting, Skyrim, don't expect that or anything like that. It still feels like Doom, and these areas are a bit larger than what you would have expected in Eternal.
Rewarding for discovery to go off the beaten path, or did it very much feel like, hey, I'm running over to this area now, and I'm going to close this gate, then I'm going to run back to this area and close that gate? Was it like, hey, I should go get lost, fight this optional boss? Were there things like that?
Yeah, I guess in those open areas, I couldn't really tell what was optional or whether all of it was optional, but there are definitely a lot of areas that you will find little secret spots and secret hallways, and you might notice something up there, and you're like, oh, what's that? Let me go up. Oh shit, it's a little vent that I didn't see. What's at the end of this? Oh, there's money with a collectible or some other piece of treasure or some power up. Oh, that's going to be a passive amount of shield for this time being. Like there's always going to be. I found probably about 6 of those just kind of playing this demo, and that's maybe why I wasn't able to get to the mech section because I wanted to look for all of the little secret spots. So there's plenty of stuff like that. You always want to be looking around for where your grappling hook can take you, I would say. So that's kind of like, if I were to recommend, if you decide to buy Doom the Dark Ages and you're maybe confused by a puzzle or how to solve something, there are certain puzzles in the world that there's a gate that I didn't know how to open. It's covered by like a red blast shield, right? And you're like, how the hell do I get in there? Because there's something cool I want. And I looked up, and there's a platform that if you stand on it, the door opens, but if you walk away from it, it closes, right? And I was like, how the fuck do I do this? So I need like super dash, or what do I got to do for this? But then I looked up, and there's a breakable chain link chain or whatever that I was able to shoot, and then it dropped a gigantic block that then weighed down the thing that was keeping the door closed. So there will be those sort of puzzles in the game as well, and that was obviously the most basic version of that. But I expect some of these open world-ish puzzles to be a little bit more almost God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, where you're hitting the little secret things around the world. Yeah, I expect things to be like that around the world that aren't. This isn't the most groundbreaking form of puzzling, but it's there and it's still good. I didn't feel like I was wasting my time or anything. I felt awesome to see that thing. And to also, I think when you have elements like that of breaking something above you to then drop down and waste something else down, like adding whatever that mechanic and functionality into a game, I think is neat. And I am excited for how they might implement that in other ways throughout the rest of the game.
Quick super chat.
Cool
here
video game.
From Joshua Moreno. He writes in and says, I had a fun weekend with Bolt Gun. How similar is this, Andy?
The Warhammer game?
The
Bolt
Warhammer
Gun
game.
starring Rahul Kohli. Well, I mean, I would say if you've ever played Doom or Doom Eternal, that's what you should expect, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Bolt Gun's necessarily the best comparison. I mean, they're first-person shooters, but this is, I think, obviously a much larger, grander scale, bigger budget, more gore. Although you're not having Rahul Kohli talk every time you do a kill, so that does suck. That's unfortunate.
I want to ask about the story. There will be a lot of first-time fans jumping into Doom the Dark Ages. It's a prequel, right? Should we go back and play 2016 and Doom Eternal? Can I just jump in right here with this and kind of get the grip? I don't know. Story has never been the biggest thing in Doom, right? It's about the slaying. But what was the story like? Could first-timers jump in and be just fine?
They were very open about saying, you don't got to know the story, but you will kind of appreciate some of the nods here and there. You don't have to know the story of Doom 2016 or Eternal to enjoy what this game's story is. It does seem like they did mention they're going for more of a direct approach as opposed to finding the lore through little items or voice memos or whatever that you were experiencing in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. It does feel like the story is going to be more present, and there will be more cutscenes kind of happening at you and with you as opposed to you just kind of uncovering something, right? Which is the way a lot of the other games kind of felt. It always felt like, I guess my direct comparison is the Dark Souls, how when you experience the lore in those games, it's because you are experiencing something that happened rather than something that's happening right now. This feels more like things are going to be happening right now with the amount of cutscenes that we saw, with the amount of characters that they were highlighting as this is the general of this army, and it sort of seems like there's a different faction of people, kind of this alien race that isn't sure whether they want to unleash you or not. And they finally say, like, all right, unleash the son of a bitch, get him out there. They need help. And the story feels more, I think, more present as opposed to something that you are experiencing after the fact or experiencing more as a third party. They talk about, a lot of different characters. Hell Priest and Prince Azrak, they have the heart of Argent and want to take over the Doomslayer. And then the next note I have is my shield has a chainsaw on it. Shield saw.
That's good. Like that note.
It was really good. Really good
Damn.
shit. It's a fun fucking game. I still think, like I mentioned earlier, that there might be some divisiveness of people just maybe wanting more of the same. I think this is still more of the Doom that you expected with just a little bit extra sauce. I think it's awesome. I can't wait for this.
Yeah.
I hope to God that this gets my fantasy score. Give me like an 85. 80,
Oh.
86.
Oh,
I think we get higher than that.
He's gonna go high.
Yeah, we get higher
I'm
than
kind of
that.
like,
Yeah,
I know.
Just trying to be modest.
I know, just being modest.
No, that was a good pickup. That was a good
I'm
pickup.
being modest. I'm being
yeah.
modest right now. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time. I wish we had more time with it. It was one of those. I think I've gone to so many previews for larger games in the past couple of years where the preview is 4 to 6 hours long. I guess maybe more like 5 to 6 hours long, where you're there at 10 a.m. and you leave at 4 or 5, and it's an all-day thing. And this was 10 to 2, and I was like, you know what? That makes sense because these games are not gigantic. These games are usually, 12 to 15 hours long.
Yeah.
So they don't want to show off too much of it. But it was a freaking blast of an experience. I'm so stoked I enjoyed the hell out of it, even though I was in 60 frames per second on a monitor with like VSync on.
You know how he gets.
Like, Mike, I almost brought my damn 240 hertz Alienware OLED with me because, like, I'm feeling the delay. On,
What can I
on
bring out of
the-
carry out here? Is
Yeah,
like,
come on, man. You gotta
should I
give me-
drive down with my setup? I can drive down with the
Give me
setup.
on some better gear. Bullshit.
Blessing, I'll kick it to you. Anything that you want to touch on with this game? Anything that we might have missed before we go on? We got a lot of super chats, but not many of them are
I mean,
about
I'd say
Doom.
I would say hop into the super chats. I don't have anything.
Okay,
I
we're
do
gonna
want to say
super
about
chat.
to
I'm
Shadow
just saying
Shadow
it.
Trickster's
Yeah, yeah.
comment in the Twitch chat. What a win for Game Pass! Like another awesome game coming to the Game
course.
Pass library. If you are a subscriber there, that's
Yeah.
so awesome because this game feels like it's it feels like what this franchise maybe. I think we've seen a lot of awesome first person shooters in the last couple of years
Yeah.
that do things so well that you go, what can Doom really do to show that they are still the GOAT? And after playing what I experienced, I'm like, all right, this is them making another statement of like, no, we're still the kind of the kings of this. So you'll be following our lead more on in the future. I had a freaking blast with it.
Game Pass, PlayStation, PC, all day one. So everybody's jumping in to have some fun. So that's great. No further questions for this one. You ready for super chats?
I'm ready for super chats.
Bear, do you have anything that we might have missed that you might want to ask Andy before we move on to super chats?
Why are you so hesitant about super
he doesn't-
chats?
oh, no, no,
What's
it's in the super chats.
Well, super chats is like we're going into a different thing of like
It's a different
these are
segment.
all not about Doom.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I do wanna
that's
shout
how
out- I do
I'm
wanna
trying to like put a bookend here on
I'll,
this.
I'll shout out the fact that it's been like the fact that we're here with Doom, where we are now 2 sequels into this current iteration of Doom.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out how impressive that is, right? Because I remember
course.
it was 10 years ago where I believe we got that that reveal of Doom 2016 at that Bethesda E3 in 2015, right? Of like, this is what Doom is, and I remember watching that trailer and being like, oh, this shit's fucking crazy. Like, it was the violent ass trailer of going through, ripping things open, like rip and tear for like a 3 minutes of a trailer and being like, damn, this looks cool as fuck. And this is Doom. All right, like, let's see. And then the game came out and it really lived up to what that is. And now we are multiple iterations into a franchise that's been around for decades at this point, right? Like one of the most storied franchises in video games. The fact that you have a reboot that was so successful that it's now spawned Doom Eternal, and now we're here with Doom the Dark Ages, and like, we're talking about it, and like this shit looks cool, and it's about
Still
to come
lit.
out, and it's
Yeah.
still lit. Like
It's so
that gets
wild
me
how
hyped.
much time has gone by that like Doom Eternal is 2020, and I still feel like that was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like no, it's this game has been cooking for a while,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited to kind of see this game running at full power. They mentioned they are partnering with NVIDIA to do all of the stuff, to do full path tracing, full everything in this game, and I'm just so stoked to kind of see what an already beautiful looking game looks like with all of the bells and whistles visually. Because when I play first person shooters, if it's a story kind of campaign game, I don't need the most frames on that's usually meant for more of like multiplayer type stuff. When I'm playing a campaign game, I want that shit to look amazing. And goddamn, like the id Tech as an engine, I think isn't talked about enough because we maybe don't necessarily see a whole lot of games
Correct.
being made with id Tech. But anytime I'm still blown away when I fired up Doom Eternal back in the day, kind of when I got my first PC, maybe in the pandemic, and I'm like, how I'm getting this many frames with ray tracing on. This shit is so optimized, and I can't believe how awesome this engine is. And they are just kind of continuing to, to iterate on how awesome they are with tech and hardware.
Well, let's have some fun. Let's jump into these super chats as we start to move away from Doom. Really quick, before we leave Doom, Riley must have missed it. Earlier, we did talk about the music, but Andy, quickly from the super chat, is it still banging with no mic?
I still say that it was banging. I didn't get to experience as much of it as I wanted to. I'm excited to have like my own headphones and kind of, get everything tuned just right. I didn't want to be in the menus for too long because I could already see the people were like looking at me being like, what are you doing in the menus right there?
Yeah, I was like, get out of
I
there.
was like, no, I'm just, I'm checking to see what the frame rate cap is,
We got some fun stuff coming in, so let's jump into the super chats. Thank you all so much for supporting us and writing in with your super chats. Logan Jensen writes in and says, Blessed Mike, being so into Magic, are you going to Gen Con this year? Bless, have you ever thought about attending Combo Breaker? Andy, you good?
I'm good.
Let's start it off. Andy, you good?
I'm good.
Blessing, have you ever thought about attending Combo Breaker?
No, I don't know much about it. It sounds like a fighting game thing.
It is a big fighting
Yeah.
game thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you have Evo and then
Evo
like
and then Combo
yeah,
Breaker.
Combo
Yeah,
Breakers
that-
are in that like super high tier, but not Evo
You
status.
think of like Mike, it's like the Masters golf tournament is the number one thing, but this is like the U.S. Open.
Yes.
This is like
Still
where
wanna
all
go
the
to
big
that.
fighters go, and people go like, "Oh, damn, what a cool rematch we're getting at Evo," because they fought at Combo Breakers. Like it's kind of like the other
That
big,
makes sense.
the other big.
We
thing.
got to get you going to all the. We got to get you on the circuit.
I'm already doing too much traveling.
Blessing's already doing a lot of traveling, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to just
I
continue
made a,
to add
I
to
made a
his
Google
travel.
Doc over the weekend of like, what are my travel plans for the year? And no, I got to
I
start
want
cutting
2026, Bless, you to change that mindset. I want you weekdays, Monday through Friday here. Weekends, you're at every
You
single
paying?
convention.
You paying for
Well,
the ticket?
we're going to pay everything.
Man,
It's
me
right.
and
We'll be
Mike-
there.
What do you mean we're gonna pay?
We're
Me and
trying
Mike could have
to-
been in Sweden. Fucked up. I fucked up.
Yeah,
Man. I
don't even get me
up.
started on that
We could have
one.
been in Sweden, dude.
How about Gen Con? Should we look into Gen Con since we're into Magic?
Which one is that? The one in Atlanta? Where's Gen Con at?
Let me look at Gen Con. I've never heard of Gen Con. So
And
let's take a
I've
look.
heard of Gen Con.
Gen Con is in Indy 2025, it says. Gen
Indiana?
Con Indy. Yeah, Indiana.
I'm good.
Okay. We're not going back to the Midwest. he
Wait,
says.
we're in Indiana.
I mean, is that gonna make a difference?
Like, is it the capital of Indianapolis?
Name 3 places in Indiana.
There's Indianapolis.
Erie,
No.
because of the show Erie, Indiana. I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's definitely one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I think there's even a Gary, Indiana.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, you know
Shit,
Gary. That's where
watch
Michael
out.
Jackson's from.
Gary.
See you, Gary.
I've driven through Gary, Indiana.
Okay,
I don't
well-
get out my car there.
Well, it's a maybe. It's a maybe.
Yeah,
Bless
no.
says no, but it's a maybe. It's a maybe. Professor Precursor writes in with a $10 super chat to celebrate their birthday with some birthday tax. Happy birthday, Professor. Have a wonderful day. Finally
Happy
got to
birthday.
catch KF Live. Love all the content. Mike, what's Final Fantasy? What Final Fantasy will you play next after loving Final Fantasy X so much? I have no idea. I'm going to let Jesus take the wheel. Or
Jesus
should I
take the
say
wheel.
Shinra take the wheel?
Okay,
You know
well,
what I
not
mean?
that. No. No.
The center structure take the wheel.
I feel like everybody would recommend 8 to you. I mean, that's also Ben Starr's favorite.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking 16 or 15. The boy band or Ben Starr could be fun.
You
know
could,
there's a-
you might really vibe with 15.
yeah.
Yeah, I
The
was
boy
about to
band.
say
You
that.
know what I mean? So
You know
yeah.
there's
we-
a 10 too.
of course, there's
Okay.
10 too. Eventually, I have no idea. I'm so deep in this one, I have no idea what's happening in the world. You know what I
Play
mean? This is
13.
my life.
Fuck 'em
13.
up. 13. It's a trilogy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Alex writes in and says, happy to be able to keep supporting y'all. Was laid off from my job last Monday and thought I may have to cancel my membership. Got a new job Friday last week, so the membership and chats continue.
Hell
Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, Alex. And yes,
Good turnaround.
congratulations on the new job. We're very happy for you.
Thank
JD.
you to, I think, I already blanked on who just, JP resubscribed on Twitch.
JP. I love
Did you
that.
know that if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime?
Shout out to Alex in chat who says 13 is fire, and then Rudy who chats in and says 13 is the worst.
Final Fantasy, baby. JD Silva writes in and says, Andy was cranking it stupid style.
Yeah. Just dual wielding.
Oh my God, man.
What does that mean?
God, man. This is amazing. stuff.
What's it? I went akimbo.
That's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. We have a fun one here. Jeff Bull Jr. writes and says, Andy, check out 1HP Gaming. They're esports gaming physicians that give good advice and tips on keeping your hands healthy. Has helped me a lot.
I think.
Okay.
I think I just did this to myself, sleeping on my hand.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
too
Well,
many
that
nights
was
in
a
row.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to tell that to a doctor. We'll see what kind of side eye they give you on that one.
Yeah.
What if you get sponsored and you can team up with 1HP Gaming and maybe like spread the good word about keeping your hands safe?
I just don't. What I gotta do is just see a doctor and be like, will this feeling ever
what
go
do
away?
you have to do to go see a doctor?
These are great
Andy?
questions. Can we get a doctor on the phone? Is right. Can we call somebody?
Will this feeling go away whenever I bend my hand in a weird way? You know.
Is it your wrist specifically, or is it?
No,
your hand?
I get the tinglies like kind of.
Mm.
You know when
this
your
could
hand.
be a nerve thing. Yeah,
it's
seems
got to
like
be a nerve thing. Like when
yeah.
your hand feels like it falls asleep or whatever, or
Yeah.
your leg feels like you get the prickling kind of feels or whatever. It only happens when I like bend my left hand crazy this way.
Oh.
When I do that, like
You're fine.
right?
See it
There
through.
you
Yeah,
go. That's
He's
what I
fine.
thought.
See it through.
See it
That's what I
through.
thought.
No,
He
you're fine.
balling.
You're-
Because if I'm gaming,
need
I'm
a doctor.
fine. Like
Yeah.
I'm gaming, I'm fine.
If I throw a
and-
basketball at you and it hurts your hands, then we go see a doctor. That's the only time we have to worry.
well, the
Because
only
like if your sweet shot goes away,
well,
then we
I'm
have
a
to worry
righty
about
still,
it.
You know, I still
Yeah, but you still got to cradle it. You got to catch it. You got to cradle it.
got my
you know?
dominant hand. You know.
I've been on Reddit a lot lately.
Oh shit!
Oh, Jesus. Is that a good or a bad
Just
thing?
every now and then, I don't know. 'Cause every now and then I'll just open Reddit.
Okay.
And on my homepage,
Would you recommend me some Reddit pages I should check out?
I mean, I can look at what it is I look at other podcasters like podcast subreddits
Okay.
to feel
Yeah.
something.
To feel something.
To be like, oh, everybody hates them too.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man.
It's not just us.
Yeah, no, exactly. I go on other podcast subreddits, like the podcasts I follow, to see
Okay.
if other people are also
Yeah.
complaining about the same
Oh,
thing.
okay.
But then I'm like, oh, that's what people do to us. But it's a whole thing. But basically, on my homepage now, I get a lot of people that are like writing into subreddits asking for medical advice.
Oh.
Where I am also like,
I get that too.
yeah, where I'm like, man, I feel like these people should see doctors. But now, like, I'm sitting here with you, and I'm like, nah, just see it through.
Yeah.
See, you're
See it
probably
through.
fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I like the "Am I the asshole" one.
Yeah, that's a
That's
good
what
one.
they
Right
That's
in.
a good
Yeah,
one.
I like that one. Daughter writes in and says, how are we feeling about strictly single-player shoot-'em-ups in 2025? I miss the days when fun shooters came out with multiplayer that felt like it could have been left cut, but was left because of how fun the mechanics were. So we look at Doom, right? I think in 2016, they might have had multiplayer on that one. I remember one
Yeah,
of them
they
did.
did, yeah.
And now we're here with just a strictly single player. How do y'all feel about kind of the cut of multiplayer? Maybe the addition of, hey, it didn't have to be here, but it's here and we're having a good time.
Are they talking about co-op?
No, we're talking about like
Adding
Well,
the
they're talking
multiplayer
about
suite?
multiplayer mode.
a small multiplayer
I
mode.
have a nostalgia for it, but I think
It's such a waste of resources.
Think
to do
about,
that.
like,
such a waste of resources. Yeah.
Tomb Raider had one.
Every
Uncharted,
game- Uncharted had one. Every
right?
game had one.
And those aren't shoot 'em ups, but like
Yeah.
those are just odd games that like had the MP.
So it's not happening anymore, which I think is a good thing because you save resources and also you have a more focused product. That said, I do miss the era of like every now and then you would get a hit out of that, right? Like, I mean, Last of Us multiplayer was fucking sick. I mean, I don't know if you count Halo, right? Like Halo had a campaign and a multiplayer, and
Yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
Like that then spawned a fucking generation
Became the
of
best.
first-person shooters, right? And like that was a huge thing.
It's just such a different.
It's just a
era
different
now.
time, though. Yeah.
I see both sides where I go, man, you are just, this is like wasted money, especially in this day and age when it's near impossible to break into the multiplayer scene. But if you do, obviously great things will come to you, but people might play the shit out of your game for a month and then go back to what they usually do and go back to their homes, which is Fortnite, Call of Duty, blah, blah, blah. But on the other side, I go, well, if you don't ship that and you save money, you're going to have layoffs anyway. So like,
Let's get creative and fun and
so-
weird.
yeah, like I guess that's like the pessimistic part of my mind goes, you know, don't make the multiplayer sweet because that'll just lead to layoffs. And then the other side of me goes, yeah, but even if they don't do it, we'll still
Damn,
see
damn,
layoffs
damn,
sometime
yeah.
down the line anyway.
I
like,
mean, Elden Ring, Night Rain, I think is a good example of, oh, damn, that's such a good idea, right? You put out the single player thing, it's big, it's massive, people love it, right? And now a couple years later, you're putting out the multiplayer thing and you're charging money for it, and like it's something that's going to do really well, right? And if it depends on how From Software wants to treat it, but if they wanted to monetize it, they could, right? The thing that I'll to this day never understand is Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which is a multiplayer mode in a fantastic single player game that is also fantastic, that had a lot of work put into it, is jam-packed with content. I spent just as much time in Legends as I did with base Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why they released it that way.
But
That
it's
could
a
have been
win.
a standalone thing.
Oh,
you should have
okay,
spun
okay.
that out into its own thing, I think.
I think it has to be a PvE thing. I think when we look at the wins, Night Rain seems like if you're putting your players into an arena against other teams, I think that is just immediately going to fail.
Yeah.
I think Legends is a good example of being something worth a damn and being like having substance and being this awesome PvE experience. Night Rain being a PvE experience. I think if Returnals like climb the mountain or whatever the fuck, or the Tower of Sisyphus type thing.
Yep.
I don't even know if that's what it was called, but that being another PvE mode, I think as soon as you try to implement a PvE sort of
Damn, you nailed
aspect,
it was Tower of Sisyphus.
Oh, nail. Okay, cool. So I think if Doom were to be like, hey, we're releasing this co-op mode that is a roguelite style thing that you and your friend can hop into, that would feel like something that could be a tie-in thing or something that you add later on.
Yeah.
To just kind of maybe bring players back to your, hey, a year goes by and they go, hey, remember we released Doom last year? Right now we're releasing this co-op thing or whatever.
Yeah.
That might be
those
move.
are the modes that work. I think as soon as you try
God
to
of War
implement,
Valhalla thing.
as soon as you require a player base, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's circumstantial for each game, right? I think for Doom, the next move would be, hey, move away from one team's the aliens, one team is Doom Slayers, and go into what you're saying with the co-op thing, right? I think other shooters, you find the right combo there, but I think there's these different games that aren't shooters that have this good blend of what you guys just brought up with those online multiplayer games that are this co-op experience that are a lot of fun.
Honestly, and
We should find either chat can give us recommendations or we should find a list of like the best multiplayer games or like, in the shooters that aren't like the big three of Call of Duty and Halo. Because there's some winners in there, like you brought
for
up.
sure. The Returnal Tower of Sisyphus thing is another one where I'm almost like, I look at that and I'm like, man, if you took maybe another year to expand this out even more and maybe add the co-op function to this and put it out as a standalone thing, like how well does that do? Because I feel like that's another mode that I wish I played more, but I didn't really because I just viewed it as like another DLC thing.
Right.
And I think that could have maybe added in like another air of like, oh man, another Returnal release, and now like it's less of a wait until we get to Saros.
God,
What was the name of the character in
Returnal?
Celine.
I knew you'd know it.
Celine.
I remember that
Fuck
Friday.
that up. I fucked
Go
that
watch
up.
Game Showdown. It was a really good episode. Let's finish it out with a couple more super chats and we will get out of here. David writes in and says, new huge fan from Montreal. You guys are the best. Quick shout out to Motion Twins new game Windblown.
Fuck
Bless,
yeah.
I think you dig it.
I do
Beautiful
dig it.
art style.
We streamed it.
Plus
Yeah.
same weapon and trinket system from Dead Cells. Yeah, this is one we played together. So
We streamed that one. I want to get back to that one because I think that game had such a cool mechanic that I know that they've kind of tweaked since then. But the idea that if you and your two homies are playing and both of your homies go down and it's just you against an enemy, you have this sudden death mechanic where if you get hit once, it's a failed run. And you just that idea of like being having to clutch up in that moment is so awesome. I can't wait for them to have like whatever their next big gigantic content drop is because that game was a lot of fun.
If what was the company ESA? If the ESA ever were able to like get all the game companies to like invest in a chip to put in our brains, and I could like track the shit that I've played and like have all my gaming data and like I put it on like a GG app type like social media thing, I'll love that. Because I feel like in the last 2 days I've had so many people be like, "Bless, you got to play Disco Elysium." I'm like, bro, I've already played Disco Elysium. Bless, you got to check out this thing.
Oh, I
I've
see.
already
I
played
see.
this
I
thing.
see.
You know what I mean? Like if I could like upload a database of every game that I've played, that'd be pretty
see.
sick.
You'd still get copy recommendations.
Put a chip. Put a chip.
Bless,
in
you
me.
should check out this game called Mario 64.
You also check out Witchfire though, because Witchfire just had a big, massive content drop recently, where you go. The Witch's Tower is now open, and it's this huge area to go explore. Witchfire, if it comes out this year, it'll be a contender. It'll be in my top 10.
Ooh. Riley writes in and says, Doom multiplayer should just be Unreal tournaments.
Man, whatever
those
happened on
days.
Unreal Tournament?
I know.
I remember playing Unreal Tournament 3 on
missed
my
that.
PlayStation 3.
And that concludes all of the super chats. Thank you all so much for writing in. Thank you for supporting. This has been today's Kind of Funny Gamescast for Monday, March 31st, 2025. It was all about Andy going hands-on with Doom: The Dark Ages, coming your way in May on all of the big consoles. Hopefully you're excited. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Bless Andy Barrett. Thank you all so much for a great show. Chat, we'll see you on the next one. Of course, if you're watching live on YouTube and on Twitch, the fun doesn't stop. AVP in review is coming your way, and then an afternoon stream after that. If you are watching later on, thank you so much for supporting us on podcast services and on YouTube. We'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.